Jesse Michels offers Sean Kirkpatrick, former head of AARO, $100,000 to do his podcast to get to the bottom of the truth. Will he take the money? Welcome back to an episode of Down to Earth with me, Kristian Harloff. Appreciate you guys being here on this Friday. So Jesse Michels obviously very locked in to the UAP topic. He talks to a lot of different people. He has had UFO defenders. He has had UFO skeptics. He's had everybody on his show that he could talk to about the topic. And I think he's one of the best out there in how he approaches. He's a very intelligent guy. We were lucky enough to have him in studio not too long ago. And again, he's got a lot of info, and he puts out some really thought-provoking videos. He has sat down with everybody. I mean, he's talked to Grush. He's talked to Barbara. I think he just had on Ross Coulthart the other day. He's had tons of people on his show. So he was just recently on Joe Rogan. He reached out to Sean Kirkpatrick, and he wants, I guess there's been so many different times that he has tried to do this, which Sean Kirkpatrick has said no, which is interesting because Sean Kirkpatrick has done many interviews. He's done many, but in my opinion, he tends to be the ones that are going to favor his narrative and not really challenge him as much. He's been on a lot of naysayers podcasts. He's been on those types of podcasts, but he hasn't really been on anyone, I think, like a Jesse Michels. And I'm curious to see if he winds up doing this. I say no, but here's the actual article that was written in Men's Journal about this. It says former government UFO investigator has now been offered $100,000 to do one podcast. The former head of Congress UFO investigation project AARO is being offered $100,000 for an interview with one of his toughest critics. Sean Kirkpatrick is well known in the UFO community as a skeptic whose controversial 2024 report on the historical record of U.S. government involvement with UAP threw cold water on the ideal of alien off-world technologies. While serving as the head of AARO Congress UFO Investigation Office, Kirkpatrick also published an op-ed in Scientific America stating that many of supposed UFO encounters he investigated were unauthorized disclosures of legitimate U.S. programs or related R&D that have nothing to do with extraterrestrial issues or technology. Now, Kirkpatrick may be headed for a payday as one of the top UFO content producers on YouTube is offering him $100,000 for a single unedited interview. On June 22nd, Jesse Michels announced on his X account, I would pay Sean Kirkpatrick $50K on top of travel and accommodations to come on my show and discuss these Wall Street Journal articles. Surely, if he's correct and not cynical about his positions, basic incentives would apply. My only condition is that we don't edit any of it. The next day, Michels doubled the amount, saying my buddy Kyle offered to double this, so we're now at $100,000 payment for a simple, unedited podcast appearance from Sean Kirkpatrick. There's the post. You see that there. Michels brought up AARO in his June 3rd Joe Rogan interview, calling it the modern blue book. That's, basically saying, don't look here like this is all BS or whatever. It's run by a guy named Sean Kirkpatrick. He has all these atomic connections. He worked at Oak Ridge, for God's sake. In a video posted to his own channel, Michels alleged that Kirkpatrick spoon-fed bad information to the Wall Street Journal for their recent debunking article about UAPs. Clearly, this would be an adversarial interview, but with $100,000 on the line, it may be hard to say no. As of the time of this writing, Kirkpatrick has not issued a response. Let's start with that last part. It might be hard to say no. Not necessarily. If the powers that be, that the ones that were clocking his appearance that one day when he was doing interviews, whatever that function was, that one woman handler who was around just looking at him, nodding at him, looking at what he's saying, if they go, I don't care how much the guy offers you, you ain't doing it. Like I said beforehand, there is a narrative that he is trying to and has always wanted to put out there, and he only does those types of podcasts. In the same way that when he released that information in that the first op-ed that he did, and when they were saying that article that came out of former AARO head says that there's nothing to see here, and they brought all these reporters out. There were no reporters out there that weren't on that side of the narrative. There was no Ross Coulthart invited. There was no Jeremy Corbell invited. There was no Jesse Michels invited. None of those people are invited to be there to ask questions. It was all like, oh, okay, great. That's what you want us to write? Okay, cool. We'll write that. Okay, can we get back to our other stuff that we're doing now? Great, thank you. That's what it was. In the same way, this Wall Street Journal thing. I had the other day, This is what I like. This is why that Wall Street Journal did exactly what it was supposed to do. So on my other channel, we have a member stream that we do, and it's a pop culture channel that we have, and there's so longtime member was on there, and he's one of the guys that like kind of thumbs his nose up at the sky when you bring up the UFOs. He's like, oh, you talk about that crazy UFO stuff, and so he asked me on the stream. He's like, so what do you think about the Wall Street Journal article? Pretty much the government saying it's all been us the entire time. That's it. That's done deal now, right? And it's like it accomplished what it needed to, because the mainstream people who are just going through looking at it. And I said, yeah, but did you see the person that they were talking about inside of that in the 1967 thing that happened with the nuclear, when they mentioned that particular guy about what he was seeing, and they didn't even ask him for his response? Did you see that? And he's like, no. And I'm like, of course, no, because that's the whole point. They didn't put that in the article after he had made his statement, because they're pushing a narrative, and that was a very one-sided article. I'm not telling you what to believe or what not to believe inside of that article, but you have to have both sides of it in an article for me to take it serious. Like, to where it's like, okay, Sean Kirkpatrick says this person says this, and this is where we stand. We're in the middle here. They made it seem like Kirkpatrick's word was the end-all, be-all, and that's what he's done many times over. So an interview like this with Jesse Michels, and him sitting down with Jesse, because Jesse will ask certain facts and certain things, but Jesse also listens. Jesse has had, as I mentioned, he's had skeptics on his show. He's had many skeptics on his show. He's talked about it, and that's the thing. This is why Jesse Michels, to me, is one of my favorites out there, because he brings it at such an intelligent point of view. He's a very well-educated guy. He does his research. If you watch any of his videos, you can see that, all the detail that he puts into it. And he would go in there asking these particular questions. And who knows, maybe there's things, maybe by the end of it, that he comes out and he says, okay, look, Sean Kirkpatrick said certain things and pointed me in a direction that I had not been in before. And it made me start asking questions. That should be the goal of Sean Kirkpatrick, to say, look, for once and for all, look, you know what? I'll take the $100,000. Sure. And I'm going to tell you everything that I know, because he's not wrong. Jesse Michels is not wrong in what he's saying. If your stance is like, listen, here's the deal. This is what it is. You guys got to stop with this narrative. I've told you many times over, I was the head of this thing. This is what we have found. You guys are out there spreading this thing, and I'm telling you, it's our stuff. You got to stop. Go on there and say it. Put it out there with someone who is in that opposing point of view. Say it. Don't just tell the person that you're doing an interview with who's going to say, "Oh, see, guys, it's fake." You gotta be. That's who you do it with. You do it with a guy that is on the opposite side, and push your narrative there. And if you can make $100,000 doing it, you should do it. But as I said in the beginning of this video, it's not going to happen, because they're going to say, like Ned in Jurassic Park. That's what's going to happen. He's not going to. He's like, can I go on there? No way. Because in the same way, have we ever really gotten a response from when he said he knew nothing about Skinwalker? And he said, I never met with Brandon Frugal. Never met with him. Well, and then we found out that he did. Did we ever get a response on that? I bet you Jesse would ask him that. That's the kind of stuff, though, he's not going to want to be pinned against the wall here and say, oh, they're going to ask me all these questions, and I'm not prepared to answer that. Can you guys honestly say you trust Sean Kirkpatrick? It's just there's just certain people in life that you can meet. I don't trust that person. To me, he's one of those people. I don't trust a word that comes out of his mouth because of stuff like this, because of who he chooses to talk to. If he's saying the same thing again, if he goes up and he says, "Oh yeah, I'll talk to Jesse Michels. Sure, let's sit down, let's do it." I'll tell you what, and by the end of the interview, I'm going, look, he stuck to his guns and he said what he said, and I got to tell you, it's a little bit more convincing than I've seen him in these other things, because he's talking to somebody who's challenging him, and he said, "Oh, okay, what do you want us to say? Oh, okay," and they did what? Oh, okay. I can't take that serious. Make me believe you. Go on an opposing point of view. That, to me, would speak louder than anything that you said so far. go ahead and unedit it. Have a conversation straight up. Do you think he's going to take it? There's no way he takes it. There's no way. And knowing this community, they're going to put a fundraiser that's going to get to like 200,000, 300,000. Will he take it then? 100,000 just to sit down. I'd also tell, if I was Sean Kirkpatrick, I'd tell Jesse, you got to pay the taxes on it. I want $100,000 flat. That's it. No taxes. That's that. And yeah, everything else. I want it in my account. You pay any taxes I got to pay on it. Then I'm coming on. Let's do it. Because I believe in my stance so much that I can shut all you idiots up. If you believe it. If it is true. Why wouldn't you? If you're like, okay, for once and for all, this guy's got a reach. He's got a bigger reach now. He was just on Rogan. More and more people are following him now and listening to him. I don't know. Anyway, what do you guys make of it? You think it's going to happen? You think that they're going to make this go down? This will be a big, big interview in the UFO space. It'll be massive. Everybody will be covering this. Everybody will be talking about this. And the word would spread about it. But who would come out looking? Who would have egg in their face? Would it be Kirkpatrick? Or would it be Jesse Michels? Now, the first instinct is to say that it would be Kirkpatrick. But throw it the other way. What if Kirkpatrick made enough of a stance and had enough facts with him on this show to show, is like, look, everything that you're bringing up, this particular circumstance, this, I can prove it by saying this, 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 and this. And Jesse is left speechless. The likelihood of that is slim. But what if? I'm so interested to hear everyone's thoughts on this one. Put your thoughts in there. Let me know. This is going to be an interesting... I'm going to be following this one. I'll be following this one. But I'm pretty sure it's going to disappear just like the drone story inside of the government. Yeah, we'll talk about it once and that's it. Because he's not going to respond. But Jesse Michels is persistent, man. He's persistent. So maybe he keeps going. Maybe he keeps going because now this is gaining traction and maybe he keeps going. I hope he does. Jesse, if you see this video, my friend, I hope you do. Keep going and get that interview. Curious to see what happens. All right, everybody, thank you for watching on the channel today. Make sure you subscribe to it, click like, do all that and more. Appreciate you. We'll see you on the flip side.